meeting of Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Johnson, thank you. Can I call all those in favor? Why am I never going to figure this one out? I'm telling you, this call to order, like my brain is. Item number 2, adoption of agenda. 2.1 recommendation that council adopts the agenda. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Whittle, thank you. Discussion? Councilor Rabble?
Friendly amendment to 7.1 for the disc golf letter. I'm just noticing that 8.4 seems to be related. Would it be best if we kind of put those together? Or is it best if they're separated into their respective categories?
Ms. Stokes, do you have a comment?
Yes, I'd like them separate, please.
That just works better?
They're 2 different items.
Yeah.
Okay.
One just needs an approval, one needs a discussion, so.
Wonderful, thank you.
Oh, fair enough.
Councilor Whittle?
Yeah, I just want to add late item 8.9 to the agenda. The Corporation of Village Poos Kupi's financial statement year ending December 31st, 2022.
Wonderful. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Rabble, thank you. All those in favor of adding the late item? Did you have a discussion?
I had. Is there a second late item that needs to be added?
There is. I'm just about to ring it on there.
Okay.
Yes, Ms.
For
Stokes.
the record, late items don't get introduced until number 4.
That's what I thought.
Better early than late.
Alrighty. Okay, all those of accepting the agenda with, there's really no changes, so just the discussion. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you. Item number 3, adoption minutes 3.1 recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on April 19th, 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Whittle, thank you. Discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Alrighty. Item number 4, introduction of late items. As Councilor Whittle had stated, introduction of late item 8.9, Corporation of Village Poos Kupi financial statement. And there will be another delegation added to our delegation list, 6.2. The auditor presents as well. Presentation. Can I get a seconder on those introductions? Councilor Whittle, thank you. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Wonderful. All right, number 5, public hearings. There are none. Item number 6, delegation 6.1 recommendation.
Recommend that council hears a delegation from Sherry Mytopher, Multiple Sclerosis Month proclamation.
Wonderful. So I've never done a proclamation before. So do we move into discussion like normal, Ms. Stokes? If anybody has any questions or concerns, or we can go right
Well,
on?
you can ask if there's discussion against, yeah.
Are there any discussion items from council? None. Silence. All right. So, you want to come on up? I'm going to try not to butcher it. I guarantee nothing. As I said, first one, you can mark it on your calendar. I'll mark it on mine, okay? Yeah. This is official. Okay. So the proclamation. Whereas MS is a chronic, often debilitating neurological disease affecting an estimate in 1 in 400 Canadians and approximately 90,000 across the country. And whereas MS symptoms vary widely and may lead to problems with numbness, coordination, vision, and speech, as well as extreme fatigue and even paralysis. And whereas there is no known cause of prevention of or cure for MS, and whereas MS Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports both MS research and services for people with MS and their families, and whereas the annual fundraising events such as MS Walk, MS Bike, and A&W Canada's Burgers to Beat MS campaign supports programs to enhance the lives of people affected by MS and their families, and support MS research in Canada. And whereas since 1948, MS Canada has contributed over $200 million towards MS research and is grateful for the dedication and commitment of its supporters and volunteers that have made this possible. And whereas together we will find ways to connect and empower the MS community to create supportive change and see a world free of MS. Now, therefore, I, Danielle Beach, Mayor of the Village of Poos Kupi in the province of British Columbia, Canada, do hereby proclaim this month of May 2023 to be MS Awareness Month for MS Canada. Oh, thank you. I didn't butcher it, hey? All right, let me sign it. Very wordy. You know what? Good practice, I guess. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on.
Hold Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. All right. That's like a tongue twister. I usually like
A lot of and whereases.
exercises. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank
you. Okay. Alrighty. So moving on to delegation 6.2. Delegation from Sanders Rose and a lot of other departments I'm going to forget. The auditor auditor presentation. Wonderful. Hello, hello.
Hello, how's it going tonight, guys?
Wonderful. And you?
Yeah, good. Tax season's over, so now audit presentation season.
I know,
so-
right? Yes.
So, I believe you guys have a set of draft financial statements there in front of you. You turn to page 2 there, you will see our auditor's report.
Is that 8.9?
Yeah, that's fine. So, our independent auditor's report is addressed to mayor and council of the corporation of the village of Goose Coopy. It states that we've audited the financial statements of the corporation of the village of Goose Coopy, which comprises the statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2022, and the statement of operations and accumulated surplus, changes in net financial assets and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the company financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the organization as at December 31st, 2022, and the results of its operations and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with public sector accounting standards, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. As auditor, our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance that whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. As part of an audit that's been performed in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of the material misstatement of the financial statements. We obtain an understanding of the internal controls relevant to the audit. We evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies used. We conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis. And we evaluate the overall presentation structure and content of the financial statements. Finally, we communicate with those charged with governance, i.e. yourselves, regarding, among other matters, the plan, scope, and timing of the audit, and any significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in the internal controls that we identified during our audit. So,
Poor man, that was a mouthful.
well, that's already the full notes, as you can see from the 2 pages of it. So, even shorter is you guys had another clean audit report this year. So, when you look at your financial statements, basically what that means is that there's, based on the work that we performed, we don't feel that there would be a material statement in there as in accordance with public sector accounting standards that would change the user's opinion of the financials. So, you guys want a short financial summary of it? Or?
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, page 4 is your statement of financial position. This is basically all of the assets and liabilities of the village. It's a snapshot in time. It's just a single picture. As of December 31st, 2022, village had about just shy of $5.6 million in the bank, and total net financial assets of $5.489 million. Total tangible capital assets left to be depreciated of $12.3 million, and total accumulated surplus, which surplus is carried forward from all the years that you guys have restricted or have restrictions on funding available to you, of $17.8 million. So you turn 1 page over, you'll see page 5. This is your statement of operations. This is, if I compare it to the video camera, it is the video of the entire year of how the village did. So total revenues this year for the village were about $3.1 million. Offset against that were about another $3.1 million in expenditures, leaving you with a slight surplus this year of $13.9 million. If you turn back to page 20, 21, and 22 gives you a breakdown of those surpluses between operating and capital. So on page 20, you'll see that for the year ended December 31st, 2022, the village did have an operating surplus of $392,000. And on page 21 there, for the schedule of capital operations, you'll see that there's a loss of $394,000, which is primarily your depreciation on those assets that I mentioned from the balance sheet. so that nets out to approximately then you add in the last item, which is Schedule 3, which is just the reserve fund operations, which had a small surplus of 20,000, but those all net out to give you the 13,000 that you guys see there for you. And the surplus, the other big note is note 8, which gives you a breakdown of your surpluses, or accumulated surpluses that have carried
What
forward.
page were you on, Jaron? What
Page 13. is
Page
note 8.
13, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
You got,
I
you're
was
flipping
looking for the
quick.
page 13, yeah, so page 13 is your note 8, which is your accumulated surpluses, and that gives you basically what you guys have carrying forward to utilize in different areas, basically the accumulation of the equity, if you want to put it that way, within the village. So your unappropriated surplus, which would be more of your general, just shy of 2.3 million there. Your appropriated surpluses, like community works, solid waste, recreation, different things that different councils have restricted in the past, 1.45. Any questions?
Councilor Rabble?
I may have misheard, but our surplus for 2022 was 13,901. I may have heard million, and I don't think.
Oh,
that's
yeah, sorry, 13,901 is your surplus for this year. Your accumulated surplus, though, is the 17.8 million. So that's basically the life of the village, whether you have a surplus or a deficit in the year, the accumulation of all of those comes out to the 17.8 million. So
Since 1935.
whenever it was.
Since 32, like that's their accumulated surplus. That's kind of cool.
Any other questions, Councilor Rabble?
We transitioned, from my understanding, some accounting practices to Municipal 360. Did that have impact to the auditing process, or was it easily comprehensible?
I'd say it's easily comprehensible for us to, for us, it's more of how can we get the reports, the data that we need, which your team is really fantastic for getting us our requests on that. So, I wouldn't say it had too much of a hindrance for us by any means.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Wonderful. Oh,
So overall, clean bill of health, basically.
Yes.
Perfect.
looking pretty good. Ms. Stokes?
While you're at that, will you just make the motion to adopt, to approve the statements?
Yes, all right. I'd like to put the motion on the floor that we adopt the report of the financial statements for the year end of 2022. I get a second one? Councilor Woodall, thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, perfect.
Perfect. Well,
All
thanks,
right,
Dennis, and
thank you so much for your hard work, you know.
Good. Be thanking your team.
I'll get her to sign it, you can take it with you.
She's like, purge, look at this, already ready. My goodness, I'm just signing my life away this evening.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks to Trina and Sandy and everyone else.
Yes.
Have a great year. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Another wonderful year. Thank you so much, Karen. Have a great night.
You too.
Oh, all right then.
So you don't have to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was I allowed to do that from a delegation? I thought-
Yes, that one you can.
That one I can? Okay, that's, I didn't think I could.
Okay, so that point is done already.
I'd like to make a motion to remove 8.9 from the agenda, because we've just dealt with it.
No, we'll still add it, it's just that we did it all together.
I retract that motion.
Good thinking, though. I love your thinking ahead.
Is it you yet?
I think I'm confusing myself. What's going on?
No worries.
Okay, carry on.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, well, we are on to item number 7, unfinished business and business arising from the minutes. So 7.1 recommendation.
That council approves the letter of support for the DC Disc Golf Club.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall was on that. Alrighty, discussion? Councillor Rabble?
I don't mean to get into a semantics situation here, but council feels in the second paragraph, is that the best possible word? Could we utilize other descriptors such as believes, agrees, or holds instead of feels? Is that possible?
You can change it if you want, if you feel that better puts it across. Would you like to make the motion to make that change and see if others agree, or?
I'd like to make the friendly amendment that we strike the word feels and put agrees in its place.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Okay, Councillor Wall, thank you. All right, discussion on that? Nothing? No? Okay, all those in favor of the change? All right, there you go.
And the other piece would be in the third paragraph, it doesn't seem to include our facilities department. I understand that'd be an expectation, but that they simply don't just, go to the park and start setting everything up willy-nilly, that there's an understanding in their existing department, that there's coordination with village staff potentially.
That's operational, that has nothing to do with the letter.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to make sure about
Just to
that.
kind of clarify that.
Yes.
I don't know why my thingies won't let me scroll down. It's being mean to me, so I'm gonna have to flip through the agenda. It's a whole moment.
Yeah, no, that's an operational thing, we take care of that right here. This is just telling them they're good to go. And we're not gonna do any work.
No, I'm, just hoping that they're letting you know what they're doing down there kind of thing.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
And nothing further.
Okay. Alrighty. So all those in favor of accepting the letter and sending it out
With the change.
with the change? Unanimous and carried. Thank you for adding that last bit in. All right. 7.2 recommendation.
That council approves the support letter for MLA Mike Bernier for the division of practice.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rabble?
I don't mean to get back to semantics again, but the second paragraph, I think, could be elaborated a little further. It just doesn't seem to resonate the deep sincerity and need for this. The village is all for getting the physicians in the South Piece, and there's actually, I don't mean to get so nitpicky. There's a typo.
Oh, hour. Okay.
Can I make an amendment to this motion?
Well, there is no motion yet.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on, sorry, we're just still in the discussion. I see, I totally see what you're saying, I just kind of really wish you would put it in an email before the meeting.
Sure. Sure.
That's my only thing, like, I totally see where you're coming from. I just really wish you'd have thrown it in a
Sure.
email so that staff could have kind of drawn up two versions, and then we could have just voted on one, right? Yes, Ms. Stokes.
So staff had trouble writing this letter, because we don't know what this is about.
So how do you
Somebody
get
can
it on?
explain what this is about.
Really, all we could say is that we support the request for a division of
Practice.
So, Councillor Wall, you had something that you wanted to add, sorry.
I was just gonna say if we could say that the village supports, instead of is all for getting.
That's what it said in the first sentence.
Yeah, it says the village acoustically supports the request to create a division of practice in Southeast. The village is all for getting positions. Just, it's not, I wouldn't say it's grammatically correct.
Okay.
How about we go back and forth
At-
on this one?
Yes, at this point in time, I'm going to say we table this item and we go back and forth on it over email. And then once we feel that, proper letter's been drafted, we'll bring it forward again.
Could we just change the words and then?
I think there might be a timeline with this.
Nope. There was no deadline given in the letter.
It didn't mention a timeline. I don't believe so.
He just wants it with all the other letters he's got. We're just trying to get.
Councillor Whittle?
Alright, so I got a little more information on this actually, the regional district meeting, last night I went to. Because the regional district is also supplying a letter to MLA Bernier to support this division of practice. And from my understanding, it's a little foggy, but from my understanding is up in the North East, they have a division of practice, so a group of doctors, they kind of self-regulate to an extent and they get a little more control over the funding dollars that come into the community, so they can allocate accordingly with what works for the community. And the South East has been looking at doing the same thing for a number of years. And what it is there's been some issues with, I believe it's the College of Physicians granting that, allowing they agreed to do it, so now MLA Bernie is taking this on to try and get this program up and going, which essentially, if it goes up to my understanding, then it gets up and running, it'll allow for the current funding model that's already funding Northern Health, it'll allow for a portion of that money to be directly related to the South Piece and to be allocated by doctors locally to better serve the needs of the community.
So, Ms. Stokes, yeah, we're gonna move with tabling this. If you can even reach out to the PRRD, get a little bit, maybe some more information, and see what they're kind of doing with their letter, and then we can go back and forth on this over email. I think that would probably be the best way. And then that way we'll have a nice letter that we're all really feeling covers exactly how council's feeling. There's no timeline on this at this point in time. I'm assuming you'd like to have this done by the FCM, which is in June. So we've got more than enough. Okay. Do I need a seconder on tabling? Can I get a seconder on tabling this item? Councillor Johnston, thank you very much. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? How many do I got? 1, 2, 3, and opposed? 1, 2, okay, perfect. Would you like the opposed to be noted?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Alrighty. 7.3 recommendation.
The council approves the seniors aging in place program survey for distribution.
Are you going to seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rattle?
No, I want it to be as accessible as possible for those who have to view this. My main suggestion, just to be quick with it, is there more than one person over 65 in your household? My suggestion would be how many people are over 65 in your household, and give them an option for a number. Because that might confuse some people where...
There is a question that says, is there more than one person over 65 in your household?
My suggestion, just for data collection purposes, would be to just have a number box that they could enter in a number for how many people are over 65, but that's just a suggestion. Because if you ask more than one person and they say yes, it could be 2, it could be 15, who knows, right? And so if we're looking for density of service, it might be just a bit more helpful to have a number versus a yes or no. But that would be my only suggestion, because otherwise we'll get too in the weeds with it.
Okay. Are you throwing that motion on the floor, Councillor Rattle,
I
to
would-
make the amendment?
Then sure, I make an amendment to adjust the first portion of the first question to strike, is there more than one person, and replace it with how many people are,
Over 65 in your
Mhm.
household? Yeah.
because that portion would stay, and then that yes or no would become a portion to enter a number instead.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, would you like the opposed noted?
Nope.
Okay. Alrighty. Any other discussion? None? Okay. So all those in favor of accepting the seniors aging in place survey with the adjustment made by Councillor Rappel. All those in favor? Okay. Carried. Are you accepting it?
I like the survey as is, without the amendments, so.
I know.
I voted against the amendment, and now you're asking for approval with the amendment, so I'm
Because
gonna
the
vote
amendment was
opposed.
passed.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote opposed to it just to stay consistent.
Okay, would you like your opposed noted?
No, I just think the wording's fine.
But not to the spirit of the thing as a whole.
Yeah. Okay, no worries.
But just for the record, I do support the aging in place.
I don't see any point screwing with the paperwork, it looks fine.
Okay, don't panic. All right, number 8, new business. We're doing so great, guys. We're just slamming through this. 8.1 recommendation.
Recommend that council receive draft policy 9.1 code of conduct revised for information and or discussion.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Woodall, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Wall?
I have a feeling that some of the wording of the revised policy here could use a little bit. It might require some changes. I feel like it may restrict some members' speech. I would rather future-proof it rather than pass something through. Like if we could take our time on this.
What
Really
specific areas are you wanting to change?
This is the remuneration one, right?
No.
Nope.
This is council code of conduct.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one, never mind.
Oh, never mind. Okay, all right, so, Councilor Rabble?
Purpose and interpretation for the first part, it's attempting to impose ethics and ethical standards on elected officials. I'm just wondering where other municipalities, other communities sit with such a thing. I understand that we're required to put in place a code of conduct. It's who is enforcing these ethics? Is it this body as a whole against one of its members if they breach those perceived breach?
Yeah. Did you guys read the email I put out earlier in the week about this?
I did not see it.
Briefly.
Oh, okay. So I did write an email with a bunch of questions about like speech and the power of the board and the mayor and all that kind of stuff, asking these questions of Ms. Stokes prior to the meeting, but she did answer all the questions I asked in the email. Not to be a pain. Yes.
Could I ask that we table this item so I can read through all of that before we agree to it?
Or
That's up to council, if the rest of council feels.
I was a little bit confused, I thought we were on something else, so I feel like I may have skipped over this one with reading our awesome agenda.
Okay. So are you putting that motion on the floor?
Yes, I'll put a motion on the floor to table item 8.1.
Okay,
To
and then
involve
council
the
can
council.
vote as they go. Can I get a seconder?
I wanted to add to that.
I'm gonna second it, but amend to that second.
We're
Actually,
gonna-
second, then we'll
Okay,
go
you
into
guys
discussion.
gotta stop
So second.
this.
I'll second it so we can go into discussion. So, it's one of those things that,
Okay, you seconded that one?
Yes.
so we're going into discussion. Second. So, if we do vote to table this has come back to us now, this is the second time. I strongly recommend that if anybody has any changes they wanna make and stuff, if they can email them out, so that it's not coming back and wasting staff's time.
Councilor Woodall, this is the first time you've seen this one.
Did this not come back and we did a bunch of work changes to the code of conduct like 2 months ago?
This is the code
Ms.
of
Stokes,
conduct.
are you speaking? Yes, Ms. Stokes, thank you.
I raised my hand. This code of conduct has been drawn up by the lawyer. This is a standard council code of conduct that is being used across municipalities. Okay? This is, and then the remuneration is, the new part that they're starting to introduce into code of conduct. Okay?
Oh, was that our social media policy that we did 2 months ago? Oh, okay, that got all reworded, that's coming back again. Okay, my apologies.
Council code of conduct, this is the first time you're seeing the revised edition.
This year.
Councilor Wall.
Could I would like to just briefly apologize to council there, because I thought I had read the entire agenda. I think I may have read most of it except for 8.1. I think I skipped over that.
I think it's a good idea to table it.
Councilor Rabble?
Sure. Well, my thing would be then, would we be able to have those questions and responses in the public so that we can all, but if we're tabling it, then we'll continue with discussion. This is something that's never been done in this municipality, so we have to be very conscientious of it. My fear is that it could be utilized for future abuses, right? If there was a majority that didn't agree with a minority of the body, that could be exercised upon that member to effectively silence them. So I want to make sure that is taken into consideration through this process.
Ms. Stokes?
So, I lost my train of thought.
This is just an updated version of the code of conduct, are we correct?
Yeah,
We already
because
have the majority of these
This
codes.
is a revised one, we already have a council code of conduct. Council code of conduct is not for the public, it is for council. So the emails that are sent back and forth, no, they cannot be made public. Okay?
Okay, so at this point in time, there is a motion on the floor to table this item that has been seconded by Councilor Woodall. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of tabling the item? Okay, all right, and I'm opposed.
You want that noted?
Yes, please. Wonderful.
Sorry, I should have read it.
We just tabled everything.
No, but it's not any easier on our staff. Okay, 8.2 recommendation.
That council receives the 2023 to 2027 financial plan quarterly report as information.
I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you.
Can we please go to the next one because our guest is not joining us till 7:45.
So change
You
the order.
just pre-assumed we take forever.
Yes. So can we, till we see our consultant pop his head, or Skylar tells us that he's there, can we just put
Pause
this
this
aside
one?
for now?
Okay, do I need to make a whole new motion to pause it, or can we just come back to it?
You can just, no, just carry on.
Table later.
We're gonna table that and come back to it in 15 minutes.
Table, I put a motion to table this till 7:45.
Yeah, sounds great.
My motion was in a second.
Okay,
Okay.
so 8.3 recommendation.
That council receives the report on Accessible BC Act for information and discussion.
Do I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Okay, discussion? Councillor Rabble?
Trying to get there. Okay, so I just want to make sure that the recommended proportion of costs borne by POOS is approximately $932 of seven. Am I understanding that correctly? 932 of $77,000?
Yes.
Is that just proportional to our population?
Yes.
$932 bucks.
That's what the proposal was in the PRD report. Yes.
That's a little bit over $1 a person.
Just checking, yeah.
Okay.
Just checking. to make
Well, I'm just
sure.
saying, it's only like $1.13 a person, not even.
And for
Yes, Ms. Jones?
for our small community, that's actually a really good deal,
Mhm.
because it's gonna cost our staff way more to do this.
Councillor Wall, thank you for
I want
waiting.
to thank the PRD for the amount of effort they put into this and getting the cost down for us in our community, because I know it would be much more difficult elsewhere. I want to thank our staff on working through that as well.
Wonderful job. Councillor Rabble?
Just to clarify, is this recommending the creation of an accessibility committee for POOS specifically, or for the PRD as a whole? What would that look like?
Right now, what you're doing
Ms. Stokes?
is approving to proceed with the proposal to work with PRD and the surrounding communities. And then there will be more information coming forward as we get closer to September.
So I think my understanding of your question is it asking for POOS Coopy to create its own committee, or is it creating a committee through all these people on the fancy bottom of this page? Yes. Ms. Stokes?
So, in this area, it would be very hard for us to create a committee.
Yes.
So this is why the PRD proposed that we do it as a rural northern communities. We're gonna include Fort Nelson, Fort St. John, everybody's gonna be included, and that way our committees don't have to rely just on members from your own community. We can work with Dawson, we can work with Hudson's Hope. That's why they're wanting to do this. That way we've got more people to draw on to actually accommodate what the government's asking us to do, because this is something that we have to do.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, so then,
Oh, yes.
if I'm understanding correctly, the establishment potentially of these accessibility committees, the review of these accessibility plans, and this feedback tool will be borne by us collectively and will be in development in the future, and this is simply having to be in compliance with the law and agreeing to proceed. Like,
Yes.
that's what it sounds
Okay.
like. Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much.
Was there a motion?
Yeah, wasn't the motion to,
Receives it as a motion. Yeah.
oh,
No, there was no motion.
oh,
No, I had an
8.3.
You received it for information and discussion, if you're willing to
You got a
approve
motion,
proceeding,
yeah.
there's a second.
I'll make a
Oh.
motion to proceed with working with the regional district in regards to our,
And neighboring communities.
and neighboring communities, in regards to Accessible BC Act.
oh, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Johnson, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you.
I almost didn't put my own hand up there.
Okay, we can go back to the other one.
What do you mean, it's only 7:35? Oh, he's on there! Okay, jumping backwards to 8.2.
That council receives the 2023 to 2027 financial plan quarterly report as information.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall, thank you. Okay,
Who seconded it?
Council. Me.
We've got the air conditioning on now.
I see that.
It's stuck on heat.
Oh, that was
Oh, no wonder why I feel nice and perfect.
toasty.
Yeah,
We're
fair.
gonna cool you off now.
What's happening? Is he there? Is he not there?
Should we go on to the next one? Okay, I thought he was there, let's go on to the
Sleep
next
for
one.
the second time.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay, it's one of those nights tonight. Normally it's me, but tonight it's everybody. 8.4 recommendation.
The council receives the information from DC Disc Golf for consideration.
I need a seconder? Councilor Rabble, thank you. Discussion? Councilor Wall?
If I understand this correctly, they're just looking for more permanent, they're gonna look for more permanent ideas for their disc golf course and come back to us in the future?
That was my understanding, yes, Ms. Stokes?
So when they did their presentation, after they were finished their delegation, you asked for more information on what it was they wanted to do. So the italicized part is what he has told me they want to do. Basically, they're looking for permission to pour the tee pads and put permanent baskets in. Okay, that's what they're looking for. And if you keep reading, it says that if the acceptable course of action is, then they'll start mapping it out and bring us plans, and then they're hoping to have the tee pads installed by 2024. They are not asking for money from us, they're just asking for the approval. They're willing to fund all this.
That's awesome.
So,
Councilor Whittle?
Is our grant writer available to them as well so that they can utilize our grant writer?
So, what they're needing from us this evening is just basically the thumbs up to go ahead to start looking into planning, or? Okay, all right, I put the motion on the floor, that, the disc golf club work with our staff to begin mapping out the park for permanent tee pads, I think is what they're called. I need a seconder? Councilor Wall, thank you, discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. Okay, is he up yet? This camera keeps moving around. It's freaking me out. It's like,
okay, go on to the next one.
okay, 8.5 recommendation.
That council
There he is.
decided, oh, never mind.
Oh, we're backing up.
Okay, well, that council received the 2023 to 2027 financial plan quarterly report as information.
I'll second that.
Oh, wonderful.
Where am I?
I like that.
You're getting better at reading it each time, you know that? Okay. Hello, Mr. McPhail, can you hear us? No?
Hello?
Mike is connecting to the audio. Mike is now connected. Mr. McPhail, can you hear us?
Sure can, finally. Sorry about that, guys. It's a wonderful world when it works.
Looks like the North Pole.
Don't worry,
Oh, you
I
like the
know.
North Pole.
Why is it where you are, Mr. McPhail? It's the North Pole.
Well, no, that's actually on 15th. It's got the picture of the what did they call it? The dog. You know, there was a picture in March.
Gotcha. Okay, very nice. All right, well, you have the floor.
The halo is me, actually. Okay, so just to reiterate, this is just a comparison. The report that you have in front of you is just a comparison from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2022. Plus, we also have a comparison to the total budget for 2023. And I'll compare the actuals from last year to this year. So last year, we're looking at an increase of $917,000 when compared to last year's results. And that's thanks to an increase of $6,000 from the calculation of taxes in 22 as compared to 2023. It was a reduction. That's to do with the calculation of taxes in last year. The sales of service were show an increase of $65,000. That's due to the increase of fees that were incorporated last year in 2022, and some of it with the solid waste. I don't know if that's in there. Forgive me. In government transfers, there's an increase of $838,000 as compared to 2022. The majority of that, $819,000, is the Infrastructure BC grant. That has to go into a reserve fund, then can only be used for specific purposes, i.e. capital. And you guys have to, so we have to put it into a reserve, and then to withdraw it, we have to have a motion to take it out. There's some increase in investment of $4,000 and an increase of other revenue of about $4,000 as well. So that gives us a total of $917,000 year over year. Any questions on the revenues?
It's an upward number, so I'm totally happy.
So my question is big, right?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, so I'll go on to expenses. Shows a decrease of 7,000 year over year. In general government, there's an increases of 13,000 in higher consulting fees and travel expenditures. Note that you guys have spent on your travel budget for the council about 22,000 of the 45,000 that's been allocated this year. You still have travel for the big conference in September. The UNBC, or I always get UNBC, UBC, and the other one mixed up. So forgive me. I'm getting out of the loop here. So anyways, just to note that you don't have much left in your travel. You've got 23 grand left in your travel. You do have 10,000 in your miscellaneous. I don't know if you have other monies that you're going to spend on it tonight or not. That will take, your grants and aid. It's usually where you take the money out there. So you have about a $10,000 cushion there. You look at protective services, it's an increase of $19,000 year over year. That's mainly due to the higher wage allocation. You're allocating Blair's wages to protective services. In the end, that's actually a good thing because you're getting more money from the regional district this way. It's instead of going to transportation and water and sewer, it's going to protective services, and you guys can claim that money back this year from the regional district. Transportation shows solid waste is a small increase of $1,000. In transportation, there's a decrease of 15,000. That's mainly again to Blair's wages, a small amount. In parks and recreation, no material change. In water and sewer, there's a decrease of 26,000. That's due to decreased wages and consulting services. All in all, you're on the right course and looking good actually, as compared to previous years and so on. Any questions on the expenses?
Looks good.
Hearing none, I'll go to
Mike. Councillor Wall has a question.
Of course I have a question. I'm just curious if why we budget so much more than we actually for some of our expenses.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear James. Could you repeat?
So Councillor Wall was just asking about like the budget difference. It seems like we've budgeted a lot more than what we spent, but I think he's forgotten it's a quarterly update.
Quarterly budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did in a quarterly budget. That's a total year budget, so that's why. Otherwise, we'd really be in the money. No, it's difficult to. That's why I do the actuals to actuals, and then you look at the comparison to year budget, because it's tough to do for municipal operations. It's difficult to do a budget that matches to the point. It's really not worth your while, and that's why I do actuals to actuals. Because your year to year mostly doesn't change and you can explain the difference. So that's why I do it that way.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was my bad. Looking at this going, wow, this is amazing. I've never seen a budget.
We go ahead.
Any other questions? None. All right, you can carry on there, Mr. McPhail.
Okay, capital, there's not much to report. I just reiterated what we've got on the plan. There's $350,000 for loader. We've got $200,000 set aside for the annual paving plan. That includes any road repairs you have been planned, i.e. you've got a culvert that's got to be replaced and there's going to be paving on that. Trina can tell you guys, I think it's $60,000, but Trina can certainly tell you if that's changed. There's also $150,000 set aside for playground equipment. Do remember that there's actually more monies that you can access through the foundation, and there's monies available through that in the financials that you'll see that can be used. The foundation monies can be used for that as well, depending on what you guys want. So all in all, not much to report this time, but we thought we'd like to get into the quarterly reporting so you guys get an update every quarter. And again, this is using the new the M360. I sound like a broken record, but that's the report so far.
Awesome. No, it looks wonderful, Mr. McPhail. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to staff as well. It looks phenomenal. Okay, does anybody have any other questions for Mr. McPhail while we still have him here? No, look at that, silence. You did such a good job, nobody has any questions.
Oh, it's the halo over my head.
It is, it must be. Well, thank you
I
so much.
Okay, guys.
Well, you have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, excellent, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
We're going to just receive it and stuff.
Yeah, so wonderful.
I can't believe I was looking at it. I read that, and I was like, I don't want to question any of this. Way too good.
No, look, it looks good. Awesome job. So, we were on to 8.5. We're jumping.
That council decides if they wish to continue with the planter reimbursement program.
Can I get a seconder? Councilor Woodall, thank you. I actually had a couple of questions myself. How much do we have budgeted each year for beautification? I was going to email you and I forgot, so Miss McNair.
Bunch of categories, but all combined.
Yes.
Full 360, so I can't
But we can guarantee it's more than the 2,500 for that?
about 5,000.
That's what I thought, yeah. Okay. Because I think my concern was like really, if we throw the responsibility back on the residents, we're going to end up having to pay plants anyway. This right now gets the residents involved and gets them doing something within the community. And it's sort of like that little extra thing back into the beautification of Pouce Coupe. I just feel that with the economy right now, cost of taxes and everything else, if we were to sort of take this away after all this time, I don't think we would see as many residents coming out to plant in the planters, where right now they are a beautiful asset to our village. Councillor Wall.
I'm last.
You're last, okay. Councillor Woodall.
When did this program start within the municipality?
Years ago.
Eons.
Way before us, 2015-ish.
And they've always done
2015.
Okay, they've always done some form of a reimbursement or incentive for people to.
2015.
Okay.
Or maybe 13, 15, somewhere around.
Councillor Rattle.
So then if we are to bring this into the fold and actually make it an official thing, is this a bylaw or policy? What does that look like?
It's just a thing, yes or no. Yeah.
Oh, like it doesn't exist in perpetuity each year, it must come back to
This
us.
money is already budgeted, right? So it's just deciding if we still want to spend it on this item. Councillor Hall.
While we're on the planters, just a thought I've been thinking about for a little while. Is there a way we could encourage residents to plant edible plants?
They do every year. Some do. Yeah.
Because with food shortages happening, and last summer I saw 2 young kids go by and just grab a couple of carrots. It's like, I try to give a kid a carrot, they won't eat it.
Oh, were they my children? 'Cause, yeah, mine
I'm
do
not,
that
I'm not
every
sure
year.
whose kids they were, but I thought, what a great way of like getting kids to eat healthy, right?
Miss Stokes?
So there is a certain member of the public that actually does that on purpose. They plant vegetables in theirs, and that's exactly what happens. People just kind of help.
They do like cauliflower and cabbages and carrots, and the kids tend to eat all the carrots, and then the old people eat all the cabbages. Me included, I may add. I've taken a cauliflower from them before. So yeah, Councillor Wall?
I just thought it was so wonderful that we do that. Is there something we could do to actually put in writing that we encourage people to grow edible plants?
One thing we could do actually is any planters that are sort of left to the village, we could have staff plant vegetables in them. Isn't there usually 1 or 2 that don't end up getting taken up? Yes, Ms. Stokes?
And if you're going to assign this to staff, who's going to take care of it?
Well, who normally does it whenever they get left empty? Isn't it?
We haven't had any empty in a while.
Oh,
This year we will, but we have not had any.
I'll come and plant them.
And please note that council has cut back our summer students by 2.
And they normally do all of our work.
You can grow strawberries is kind of.
So my suggestion is if council would like us to plant vegetables, we'll plant vegetables, but council maintains them.
I was just gonna make that suggestion. We wanna give back to our community. If there's anything left, why don't we as council take on looking after it?
Planting carrots is literally putting your finger in the dirt, laying a strip, pushing all the dirt over and watering it. Yeah.
So
Yes, Miss Stokes?
the only thing Public Works does is they water it, you will have to weed eat it.
The way it's been doing things. Yes.
Is there a deadline to, there's a need to book a planter, right? And then what would be the associated deadline to book that planter?
There's no.
It's a freebie?
Yeah.
Yes, we don't impose any
Ah,
restrictions.
okay.
Councilor Rapp.
And the intent from my original question was, is there a way that we could enshrine this, that it keeps going forward instead of each year comes back? Because what if, say, everybody just, isn't here and then there's a whole new body, or 50 years down the road?
Yeah,
How do we keep it going?
my understanding is the only reason why they brought this back this year is because we're a new mayor and council. They just want to see if you're still into it. This won't come back.
Oh.
Yeah, they just, because we're such a brand new mayor and council and the majority of us are new, they just wanted to make sure this is something that we would be into as well, so they would be bringing it back. So if council is into continuing this going forward, seeing as it's an item that's already budgeted, then great. And if not, then we can talk about that as well.
Lovely.
I'll put the motion on the floor that we can take.
Okay, so seconded by Councilor Woodall. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Wonderful. Thank you very much. 8.6 recommendation.
That council receives the report on the sanitary manhole sealing and bypass installation as information.
I get a seconder? Councilor Woodall, thank you very much. Discussion? Riveting reading. Councilor Rabble.
Are we to select one or just simply go with the cheapest? Is that what we
Well, there's certain bylaws and rules around RFPs.
procurement?
This is just for information, so you know what's happening. You approve this for, it's under the $50,000 mark, so it's up to me to make the decision.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going with the lowest, just so you know.
Okay, cool.
This is just kind of an FYI.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
And this is that inflow meter, which is exciting. Is this,
The sewage one, I think. Sewage one, right? Or I can't ask
Good,
directly,
that's
sorry.
a good one.
Okay.
any other discussion? Okay, sounds good. Yeah, receive it for information. Do I need to vote on that?
I just need a all in favor.
All in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. 8.7, now this was riveting reading, let me tell you.
The council adopts the updated Village of Pouce Coupe OHS manual.
Seconded by Councilor Whittle, thank you. Okay. So, this has been completely rewritten and completely updated, right? I did.
This has been rewritten, and it pertains more to our office than the previous one did. The previous one was almost 300 pages, and it pertained more to oil and gas. And we're not oil and gas. I have a very nice binder that I forgot to bring in to show you that our admin worked on, but as well as the report, the admin has put in all of the corresponding forms and everything. We have a very nice binder that tells us everything.
Well,
So we're very happy that this is only these.
I have my note was, you've all done an amazing job, and thank you all so much for your hard work and your diligence when it came to creating this manual. But 2.5 years in the making? Oh yeah, if you ever have to look at, you should like contract yourself out for these things. You'd be so good.
No, because I'm not taking credit for this. I have very
All in
lovely
favor
people
of
that
that?
help me.
Yeah, right? We could start making some money. Awesome, yeah, no, wonderful job. Councilor Rattle.
So on page 13, it says that a joint occupational health and safety committee is required for 20 or more workers. Would the Village of Pouce Coupe be required to form a joint occupational health and safety committee? Or is that not a part of it? Because a lot of this does appear to pertain to that committee.
Hang on, I'm sorry. Can you do me a favor? Can you tell me what item number it is? So not just the page. So you're in
Page 83, sorry.
rules and responsibilities number
4.2, and then it's under Village of Pouce Coupe is responsible to, it's like the
10 point. So 4.2.
11th point.
Getting real technical now. Okay, perfect.
But it's also mentioned previously in the document.
And then can you read it to me again, please?
That Village of 4.2, roles and responsibility. The Village of Pouce Coupe is responsible to establish a joint occupational health and safety committee for each workplace where 20 or more workers are regularly employed. However, it does mention it on page 77 of the agenda, that under health and safety policy statement, the Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committee will promote and support health and safety program through program development, inspections, investigations, complaint resolutions, and recommendations for continued improvement. So are we required to establish that? How does that look?
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Yes, we have a committee, and we are over 20 workers because they consider the fire department part of our employees.
That's what I was looking for.
So we do have a committee. We have a very lovely lady over here who is, we don't mess with her when it comes to safety. She's been very good at implementing it and getting the committee set up, and they hold monthly meetings. We're complying with everything. We're all.
Councilor Ravel?
Page 85 or 15, depending on what you're looking for, under contracts are responsible to, and then fourth point, provide supervision at all times on the job site. I'm wondering, was that a previously included item, or would that potentially impose undue costs or additional costs?
What's that, Ms. Phillips? That would come from WorkSafe.
Maybe it's just a piece?
Yeah.
That sounds expensive. Sounds
It's
very.
not up to us to supply it, it's up to the contractor. They have to be sure they have.
That's just passed down. That's passed down, we don't have a discretion in
Yeah,
that?
it's a requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you're your own supervisor.
Councilor Wall?
Okay, so just on your point there, so when I was flagging, every job site needs a supervisor, but the supervisor doesn't necessarily need to be on site, it can be on the phone. It's not necessarily an extra person standing watching one person pressure watch it.
Well, this is what I'm concerned about, right? That every contract would have, with a contractor, would have this additional person when it's simply just.
It could be somebody at their office that's phone call away or something.
I'm just trying to look at it.
Yeah, so it sounds like that's something that's already predetermined by WorkSafe, so we're held under the regulations of WorkSafe, which means that we have to include that. Councilor Ravel?
On page 95 or 25, depending where you're looking, 7.3 responsibilities. Oh, well, this is senior management, but I'm kind of curious about the implications of point 1, ensure that all known or foreseeable hazards are corrected without delay. How could a foreseeable hazard be corrected without delay? I'm just curious about how that looks.
Councillor Whittle?
So as part of the hazard assessment vulnerability that the OH&S committee does, and if somebody says that this could potentially be a hazard, then they have to have a means to mitigate it or at least discuss it. And the senior management has to go through and actually foresee and, to the best of their ability and knowledge, deal with any unforeseen or potential hazards that might arise. So it's basically they have to do their due diligence and make sure that they've checked it out and they make sure it's safe ahead of time, or that they're mitigating first.
Councillor Rebel?
On page 101, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I just gotta, anyway. So page 101 or 31 where you're looking, under 7.10, job hazard analysis, under 3, break each job into specific tasks. A, identify the critical tasks. Obviously, those are the ones that are causing the serious things. Is that already been initiated, or will that pose additional burdens and expenses to staff and staff time?
Councillor Whittle?
So JSAs or field level risk assessments are pretty standard. There's a standardized form on the internet that most and a lot of companies use, and it's basically you go through and you answer some questions, do some checks, and it's a guidance system to kind of walk you through making sure you.
I'm just fearful of having to imagine everything.
No, it's pretty standard. So in oil and gas, a lot of industry it's used, and they've moved it over to like our public works and that kind of stuff. And all it is it's more intended to get your employees thinking or your people thinking of what are the potential hazards today. So when you go out and it's minus 30 potential hazards of cold today, versus plus 27 potential hazards heat, how are we going to mitigate that risk? And it's to get the employees thinking and to learn to mitigate the risk and others. Think about it ahead of time.
Councillor Wall?
So I would just like to note that this occupational health and safety program that's run by us here, I find it very comprehensive, and I find it actually a lot easier to read than others that I've had to look at.
Yeah.
And I find it very well done. And I would like to put it to motion to adopt it, actually. Can I put that on the floor?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Okay, discussion? Councillor Rabel?
Well, I just have whatever. One more piece then.
That's right.
Page 104, page 34.
You have an emotion on the floor. You have to deal with the motion first.
Yes, we're on the discussion. So he's asking a question in regards to.
Okay.
Okay, so page 104, page 34, depending where you're looking, regarding first aid certification, do we have funding set aside for staff for obtaining that if they're to be on the job site? Levels of certification.
Well, the nice thing is with the fire department being included in a large majority of that, lots of our firefighters have up to date for first aid or fire chief and everything else. And I think at least 1 or 2 of the staff members have it as well. Yes, Ms. Stokes?
All the staff has level 1.
There you go. All staff have it, yeah. So that goes under our training and courses. So that would be something that's budgeted.
And the level of first aid is determined by the risk assessment.
Alrighty. So all those in favor of adopting the new OHS manual? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Alrighty. 8.8 recommendation.
That council receives the report for the Christmas lights contest for discussion.
I get a seconder? Councillor Whittle. I'm so happy to see this on here. So, I know it's not Christmas in July. The reason why this conversation is coming up is because each year there's no current policy, procedure, bylaw, whatever for the Christmas light judging, and it's really been run off of who the mayor and council is at that point in time, which makes it unbelievably confusing to the residents. There's no actual, this is the rules, yes, you can win every year, no, you can only win once every 2 to 3 years, it changes for every mayor and council, and it's becoming very confusing for our community members, and I'm looking for something, and I think the community's looking for something that's a bit more solid and in writing and very black and white, so that each year they have an idea on whether or not they have a chance of winning if they've won the previous year or not. Councillor Wall.
I put a motion on the floor to direct staff to create a couple of different policy options regarding Christmas light contest that we can vote on.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, discussion on that point? Councillor Rabble?
I think that it's important that the body decide whether, well, specifically whether or not a person can win more than once. Personally, I would say that, hey, best show wins the show, wins the contest, right? Like, I think we need to at least give some direction if we're going to proceed with such a ask.
Councillor Woodall?
Oh, I think it's one of those things we wait and see what staff brings back as we've got personal staff that have been dealing with, you know, a multitude of different rules over the years, so I'm sure staff has an idea of what works and what doesn't, or what the recommendations we can start meddling with it.
Would it be easiest if we sort of maybe looked at what a few other municipalities have done and then we choose one of the best options?
Probably is no fault.
Well, what do the residents do? They just duke it out? Like, how do they decide?
They don't duke it out, they don't judge. It's
Yeah,
council.
we judge.
Well, we duking it
I'll be
out.
like an extra
We can look. Please don't expect this report anytime soon.
Can we do it before December?
August
Deal.
or September.
Deal.
Which year, what, 2023?
Yeah, we'll get to 2023.
Councillor Wall.
I'll make an amendment to my motion
Okay.
that, before Ms. Stokes writes all this down, that
I already wrote it down.
that staff come back with a couple of policy options regarding the Christmas light contest that allow whichever the best house is to win. So that when we go and judge, we don't have to keep a list of previous winners and.
Okay. Does that make sense? I got very confused there for a minute. I'm gonna be honest.
We'll do some.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty, they're gonna look into it. Sounds good. All those in favor? Unanimously carried. Thank you. Deal with this. I'm telling you, I'm never gonna get this figured out. You know what? I'm never judging the Christmas light contest ever. Perfect. People know where I live. Okay, we're moving on to correspondence. Did anybody see anything under correspondence that they wanted to talk about? Councillor Rapp.
Well, 9.1, just as a kind of result from it, I'm just curious, we did kind of a heating shelter during the winter. Is there such thing as like a cooling shelter or heat retreat?
Can you do me a favor?
No.
Can you read the 9.1 point?
That council receives the letter from Bowen Ma, Minister of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, EMCR, as information.
Wonderful. Now if you can talk, that would be great.
Seconder.
Oh, yeah, seconded. Councillor Woodall, thank you.
Okay. Well, previously, in winter times, we have a place for people to go if it's too cold outside. Would we therefore be able to provide a place where people can go if it's too hot outside within village-owned properties?
Yes, Phyllis?
So just to clarify, in the winter, we did not have anywhere for people to go if it was cold. We've always done it in the summer, and we've always opened up our office and the fire office.
I believe there was possibly a warming shelter somewhere in.
It was
Not put out by us.
Didn't we advertise that people can
There was
come
some-
here in extreme cold?
Last time we did.
I swear it was in the
We
village
did.
boys.
We did on Facebook. We had advertised during the extreme cold that they could come in here and sit. That was advertised about 3 or 4 times on Facebook.
Happy we didn't kick anybody out.
We don't want to kick anybody out. It was all set. So, yeah, so we have the same thing for something. They can come here for the trial.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, Jenny. Second, all those in favor of receiving that information, thank you. No. Yeah, any other correspondence? Everything was pretty chill this time around. Refuse to look over there. Okay. Councillor Rabble.
Well, under 9.5, that council receives the report from the Dawson Creek St. Pius information.
Yeah, that was kind of.
Yeah. So
Cultural assaulting.
that's what I'm getting at, but nobody has seconded it just yet.
Oh, sorry. Seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you.
Um,
Councillor Rabble.
It is alarming to see an increase of 275% in regards to sexual assault, sexual interference. That 4 calls in the previous time last year now have become 15 calls. Otherwise, everything's kind of doing its regular bobbing up and down depending on the season, but that's definitely very, very statistically, well, it's a significant increase, right? So I'd just like to bring attention to that.
Yeah,
It's alarming, to say the least.
remembering that safety, for sure.
I'd also like to know that 124 calls were made for mental health, which is an increase of nearly 50%. That's also quite alarming. So if anybody knows anybody who's having mental health issues, please let them know that there are resources out there. It's becoming quite a crisis.
You know, at Christmas, in our Christmas letter, we included numbers of all those different health lines for that reason, and I'm wondering if maybe that's a province needs to advertise again.
Well, what scares me about this number being so high right now is the springtime. Like, it makes sense in the fall and winter when people get depressed, but we've had an awesome spring. It's been 25 degrees today.
It's only just the start. It's in January 1st to March 31st, so it's just getting into that spring. So hopefully the numbers will improve as summer goes and not get worse as more people are out and about. Councillor Ravels?
But actually, that 124 is the majority of the calls. Like, that is the bulk of the calls that they are receiving.
The majority of all the calls that they're receiving with mental health.
I think it's the largest category, yes.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to talk on for correspondence? Councillor Ravel?
For 9.6, the council received the 2023 Go Buy Bike Weeks packages information.
Yeah. Any seconder? Councillor Wall? Councillor Ravel?
It's asking us to consider running a Go Buy Bike Week events in our community.
This would be like having people bike to work and bike to grocery stores and bike to.
I see people doing it.
That's why I was kind of chuckling, because I was like, okay, I looked into this, and it would be like,
Sounds good.
sounds great, but really the highway doesn't have the capacity for it, so we really don't want to push.
I've seen people biking on the shoulder,
So-
and you have to kind of navigate that.
So that's why I didn't bring it up, but Councillor Wall.
So, there are individuals who live in Poos that do bike to Dawson on a daily basis. I know a few of them, and they are wonderful people. They're actually the best way to go if you are biking is to take the back road
Yes.
out. Now, something we've been in discussion with
Yes.
is some sort of path or
Oh, yes.
make more a walking or biking path that makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
And that is something I would like to work with anybody in the room here. If you have any ideas or how to get this going,
Yeah.
please bring it forward, because I'm kind of at standstill, I'm being quite frank. But I would support the Go Buy a Bike BC. There are ways to get to town. It's beautiful going south, take the old Edmonton Highway, there's a beautiful river down there, go to the park, good exercise. So there are ways.
I think my other concern was it was Go By Bike October 3rd through the 16th. I'm sorry. And so that was the other thing too. I was just like, man, and it's during the winter. Like this would be great in like Vancouver.
Yeah, remember we're beyond hope. I don't think I read that October part.
Yeah. That's the only downfall, is the Go By Bike weeks for British Columbia are October 3rd to the 16th.
I would like to encourage people in Poos Coopy to go buy bikes for the summer.
Sounds great.
There, lock it up.
Someone lost it. Yeah, not for the winter.
Yes. Okay, anybody else? Funny. All right, okay, moving on. So we're at number 10, resolutions, none. Bylaws, 11.1 recommendation.
Recommend that council gives the fourth reading and adopts tax rates 2023 bylaw number 1047, 2023.
Okay, a seconder, Councillor Woodall, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Ravel?
It's previously as presented regarding the 15% increase.
I'd like to
Just shred it to pieces. This
It's
number.
worth reading. Okay, any other discussion? Councillor Ravel?
It's more of a comment, sorry. It's, I've looked at other local municipalities municipalities, other neighboring municipalities, just to satiate my fear of going beyond and then dissuading investment. But we frankly have low tax rates, so which is always is quite an attractive feature to a lot of people in investment.
Yes.
That's more of a comment, which I apologize.
Okay, yeah, no, good comments.
It's not good conduct apparently.
All right, all those in favor? Unanimously carried, thank you. Okay. 12.2 recommendation.
That council received the draft council remediation and expense amendment bylaw number 1048, 2023 for information.
Okay, so just a reminder, this is draft, we're not adopting it. So this is the time where we do have the conversation. So we're all on the same. Councillor Wall.
This is the one that I mistook the other one.
Yes.
You have a second.
Oh, sorry, second, thank you, Councillor Rattle. I just knew that Councillor Wall was like, he had things and stuff.
Oh, okay, so. Okay. So, looking at this bylaw, I like the way it's structured, where there's the first breach 10%, next accumulatively goes up. I do like that. I do fear, however, that who is the external body looking at a breach of our conduct, if that were to take place, and decides whether or not a breach is taking place? Because our code of conduct stipulates you can't wear shorts, you can't wear jeans. There's minor breaches and there's major breaches.
So my understanding, I'm throwing it out there. My understanding is it's the elected body as a whole. So it would have to be voted in the majority if somebody feels that you've breached something. And I think the chances of having, 4 equal voices all say, yep, he wore jeans on that last meeting and that's it, right? Like it would need to be an agreement of all elected members. No? Oh, you're shaking your head no. Well, then I read it wrong as well. I apologize. Ms. Stokes?
So council code of conduct, anybody can bring a council code of conduct
Or a complaint.
From the public,
complaint forward.
from the public as well.
Okay.
As far as
It gets a little sticky. This is more for council. This is for you to say.
Let's use social media as a good example.
Somebody's breached their social media policy. You want to bring a code of conduct violation against that person. You would first direct it to the CAO. Doesn't go to council. It goes to the CAO.
Okay.
Okay? It's kind of done in a confidential way. It's not something that's done in the public.
So that'd be in camera session.
Yes, that goes under, it would fall under labor.
Okay.
Because it's a code of conduct violation that you're bringing against that person.
I just
And
wouldn't
then
want
we
it to be
would-
like a phone call once every meeting. Oh, your sleeves weren't long enough. Oh, your hair was a mess.
Well, okay, but you have to decide as a council if you're gonna get that nitpicky. Is that really what you want?
I guess
this
that's
code-
what I was trying to
Is that
do.
what you want this council code of conduct for? It's more for if people get out of line and are yelling at each other, or, they post something on social media that
It's a
you guys don't, you can bring a code of conduct violation as a group, you can bring it as one person, but in the end, the third party is gonna be the lawyer.
And it's the third party that decides the final say.
No, they don't decide the final say, but they work with whoever they're working with. So say you have a code of conduct violation against me, even though it doesn't really apply to me, you have other code of conducts, then it would be the mayor that it goes to.
Okay.
You as a counselor have a code of conduct violation, you bring it to me, we discuss it, we figure out what we're gonna do, and then we would proceed.
My concern, my major concern is, I want this to be as future-proof as possible, because not all councils are as functional as I've heard of. So,
Remember why this was brought forward?
and I would like so that in the future, if there are ever issues, it doesn't become super nitpicky and a waste of everybody's time, and it's meeting after meeting. Because I could, with the way it is right now, I could see that as a possibility. if council were to become less friendly. Or even the future.
I would like to make a suggestion that you guys just take this for information tonight. Okay. And really read it. You want to bring back the council code of conduct policy. Really, they go hand in hand. This is more, if you've got suggestions of changes that you think should be made, I would really like you to email them to me, please. Because this one, we're also working with the lawyer on. And this is something that they're trying to standardize across the municipalities.
Councilor Rebel?
Just while we're still in discussion, so from my understanding, the code of conduct is legislatively required, but is this punitive financial consequences that legislatively required, or is it an option?
At this point in time, it's like a recommendation, but it's not being sort of forced on anybody. But, you know, there are obvious reasons for why this came up and why, I think the village would like to see something like this adopted. Yeah.
I would just like all of council to remember how the council code of conduct issue came up. This was raised by the previous council, okay? So there's a lot of stuff here that was tailored to the previous council to take care of some issues.
Councilor Wall?
I would like to know for anyone in the public who is looking at this draft document, that it does not note mayor anywhere on the document. They have confirmed with Ms. Stokes that under our council code of conduct, council members, which does include. So for anyone who is concerned about that, I've already asked.
Okay, so Councilor Rebel?
Just the final piece, I don't know how employment law would exactly govern our body. I'm not an employment lawyer, but I understand that in employment law, financial penalties are not in employment, but I don't know how it exactly would work in regards to this body.
Yeah, well, they are working with the lawyer with it, so.
Basically, it would be 10%. It would be 10% of whatever your paycheck was. Okay.
Councilor Whittle?
So I'll just make a statement, but code of conduct is here for when there's major breaches. The financial stuff is when here, like the hit people in the pocketbook, is when my understanding is when a conversation of, hey, you know, smart enough doesn't work, or hey, you know, as an elected official, there's a certain level of decorum we're supposed to maintain, and when that's breached, it gives us some grounds in order to penalize the person, right? Basically, at the end of the day, this should just be something that sits on the shelf and goes, okay, yeah, we got it there, but we should never find ourselves as elected officials or put ourselves in the position where this has to be exercised against us. We should be holding ourselves to a higher level of decorum than what this states. And it's only there, in my understanding, in my view of this is only here as basically a bailout, fail-safe, you know, you decide to go all wonky and squirrely, and this gives us some teeth now, right? But really, at the end of the day, if you're doing the job that we were elected to do and we're maintaining ourselves with the form that we're supposed to, it's not an issue.
Councilor Wall?
Going to your point, Councilor Will, is yes, councilors should be abiding by the code of conduct at all times and keeping the high standards. However, when this document is going to be used, it will be that one-off extreme situation. I want to make sure that this document is airtight and that it provides guidance for whatever council is in that day to deal with whatever one-off situation it may be. Because it is that extreme situation, I want to make sure it's ready for whatever extreme situation it may be.
So, I think we'll receive this for information. We'll start with an email chain, including this and maybe the code of conduct, and kind of have those conversations back and forth. And then that way we can talk about any concerns that we may have. And then Sandy can either supply those answers or get those answers from legal. I think that would probably be our best way going forward, and then we'll bring it back on the next one. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So, we are on number 12, Administration Report, CAO Report. You're up, Ms. Stokes.
report short. So I looked into your alcohol permitting in the village. We can do it. There are certain guidelines through BC liquor distribution that they have to follow. And it would be on a case by case basis. People would have to come in and ask permission. But, that's Get into. Reminder that on Friday, May the 5th, Mayor Beach, Councillors Goodell, Ravel, and Wall are all at PRRD, which is at FixX, just for clarification.
Is that really what it's called?
FIX, capital X, yes. And it's in the boardroom where we had our Christmas party.
Oh, I thought it was at their office. Oh, okay.
I sent out an email regarding the strategic plan for planning sessions. I really need to know what date you guys are comfortable with. I've heard from 2 people. I need the other 3 to respond, please, so I can confirm with their systems. So it'll either be the 22nd for 4 hours or the 24th for 4 hours. Either the Thursday night or the Friday or the Saturday morning. Float design for Canada Day, theme, who's going to be, is council going to do a float?
Well, I think we should do a float. I worked on the float last year with previous mayor. You know, I kicked
Council interested in doing a float? We kind of need to know, well, we need to know for the parade.
Okay, all those in favor of doing the float?
No, you don't need a motion, I just need to
I
know,
just wanna
are
know-
you guys interested in?
How many of you want to do float?
I'd love to do a float, I just don't know how my department will do.
Okay. Want to do a float?
Do we have a trailer?
Okay, so,
Yes, we have a trailer.
yeah, Councillor Johnson's the most excited about it.
Okay, so we're gonna say, yes, you're doing a float, that's all I need to know. In the past, when we have had Canada Day, we have had a bus that goes from Dawson Creek to Poos. Is this something, we didn't do it,
We didn't do it last year.
yes, we did do it last year.
No.
We didn't do it last year.
It's our
The year
original.
before we did, when it's been at the ball diamonds. Is this something council wants us to look into, or do you not want the bus? And if we don't, we're not gonna go with the city bus, we usually look at a private contractor. Councilor Wolf,
Could we look into the cost and decide on that later?
between $600 and $1,000.
Oh,
Councillor Ravel.
No, to prevent drunk driving. Like,
There's
absolutely.
no alcohol at Canada Day.
Canada Day.
except, technically there's no alcohol that people do.
Oh, okay.
During the day. In the past, we've never had any problems with that, but it's for people who are in Dawson that want to come out, don't drive,
Gotcha.
or, yes.
Okay, so from one side it's potential impairment, from another side it's accessibility, so
My
it makes
question
sense.
is, how many people on average do we normally get on that bus?
Apparently people ride it.
Like one person rides it?
No.
Like a decent amount of people ride it?
I've had quite a few people ask me if Bruce is gonna do the bus from Dawson to Bruce in Canada Day.
All right?
Yes, so that's,
Yes?
okay. I don't need a motion, it's regarding Canada Day is already approved. BC Farmers Market, I did talk to Councillor Wall about this yesterday. We had the grant writer look into some grants, and you have to be part of BC Farmers Market Association before you qualify for these grants. So, and just a note that May 12th is the next council remuneration that will be deposited, just in case anybody's wondering. And on that note, I think, is that all I needed to talk to everybody about? Oh, no, Dare to Dream.
Yes, I was gonna say, no.
Dare to Dream. So I sent out an email asking everyone if they wanted to make a donation to Dare to Dream to compensate him for the time and the effort that he had put in already. I had 2 respond no, I had 2 respond yes, so I had 1 that didn't respond.
I said
Oh, yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Maybe it was you.
No, I answered you. I didn't give you a number
It's
enough.
3 to 2. It's 3 to 2. Okay, so in that case, I would drafted a letter that I would like you to read and tell me if you're okay with it, that we will send out with the check.
I didn't say number either.
I didn't say number, I said.
So I picked a number after talking to people.
That's fine, I'll pick it up
Okay, I can barely see. Okay.
I trust the recommendation of our
after.
staff.
Sorry, thank you.
So it's just a simple letter that says thank you, and that, so there's no hard feelings, we want to make a donation to his Dare to Dream Society. And wishing him luck with his, best music festival.
August.
Back to,
Councillor Rattle?
They're proceeding with the ball tournament still, right?
Dare to Dream has nothing to do with the ball tournament, okay?
Because it was
That's, yes. We will work with Iron Wolf, this is just for Dare to Dream.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks good. Yeah, looks good. I like it.
So can I have a motion that I can send this letter?
I'll make a motion that we accept the letter, that staff's drafted to the Dare to Dream Society
Well, seconder?
with the donation.
Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, opposed?
Post.
Would you like your opposed noted?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Alrighty. Okay, anything else there, Ms. Stokes?
Just double check. I think I told you everything. I'm away Thursday, Friday. I'm going to see Shania Twain, so it should be interesting. You wanna go to my place?
Yes. If you want to go to emergency management in mine.
I'll go to Shania Twain, it's okay. No, that's all I have. We're looking pretty good. If you go to the next page, to the action items, you'll see that we've completed almost everything except for Iron Wolf's wish list of what he would like with the baseball diamond, so we will reach out to him again. But I'm happy to say that,
And I don't want you to stress. I'm going to meet with you next week and add more items.
just so you know, I'm only here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, next week.
Perfect. I'll fit it in.
Well, you better make an appointment because my calendar's filling up. Okay, that's all I have.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
I just want to say, really good job to staff with all the work you guys have done with completing the action items, and thank you guys for your diligence and hard work on that. It can't be the most easy thing.
The staff takes chasing the green to a whole new level.
Mine's in gray, not green.
Oh, sorry, I did have another comment.
Yeah.
Canada Day, just to say that we, in the short time that we've had since the last meeting, we have managed to, well, not we, two very enthusiastic admins have been working very hard on Canada Day. We have tents booked, we have prospective entertainment lined up, they have sent invitations out to food trucks, they've lined up all sorts of people. We're well on our way to having actually a very full Canada Day, I think. And we are going to work with Iron Wolf and see if he will put on some sort of tournament that the community can participate in rather than having other groups. We can have other groups that come out too, but see if he'll include, have maybe just a game for everybody to take part in. And we have Northwinds Wellness Center that's going to set up an information kiosk there to take information from residents and ask questions if they have questions. We have Urban Systems that is going to be down there for the OCP, and they'll be engaging the residents, and they're going to do kind of what's one of the ideas is kind of like a graffiti board where people just kind of write their ideas all over it. And I think we reached out to recycling. I don't know if we have heard yet, but we're working to get somebody down there to talk about recycling, because some people still don't get recycling. And we're going to set it up a little bit differently. Last year we had all the kids in one area, kind of blocked food trucks. So we're going to try and separate the kid tents so that there's games over here, balloons over here, and face painting over here, and we've secured the face painter as well. So they've been working very hard, very hard.
Wonderful job.
Yes.
Thank you to the staff.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Alrighty, So we're gonna move on to action items, which I know is all great, except that one thing. If anybody has anything other than huge thank yous and wells of appreciation that they'd like to ask and add. Okay, alrighty, so new capital and special project list is coming on May 19th agenda. So we're gonna move to council calendars, May and June. Alright, we are all ridiculously busy people. What are we up to? I'm pulling up phone there, gentlemen, and
Just so you know, that PRD on the fifth is supposed to fix that, so we can go back to up to date.
yes, Councilor Wall.
June 23rd, if we're doing anything June 23rd, I'll be available all day for the southeast side of our option.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to go, I'll take this time to tell you it's going to be great.
I'm the one attending the PRRD meeting on May 18th, just so you know. That's really the only thing I have coming up.
Have a meeting tomorrow night?
Ms. Stokes, what were the next, the prospective days again, sorry for the planning?
June 22nd, from either 5 to 9, 5 to 8, or 6 to 9, or Saturday the 24th from 9 to 12. Okay, so I have 3 that have said Thursday works for them so far. Does anybody else?
Thursday, the
22nd.
Thursdays are the absolute worst day. But majority of you guys can make it?
sure.
It'll be at night.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thursday.
So it'd be 5 to 8 or 6 to 9. What do you think is best?
After 11 a.m., I'm happy.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
Yeah, well,
We can get it done and over before our workday starts.
You wish.
awesome.
I gotta teach all day. Nope.
Councilor Johnston? Are you okay with the 22nd?
Which time works better, 5 or 6?
That's fine.
Do we do it 6 to 9?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
5:30 possible?
I can make that
Because
work.
I can't do 5, but 5:30
I
works.
can do 5:30.
5:30 to 8:30-ish?
Then if it runs a little bit.
She is going to assign homework once we set the date. There's stuff coming out the council is going to have to do. But, yeah, so just remember on the 15th, you have OCP planning.
So 15th is OCP and the 22nd is
Strat plan.
strat plan.
So you get me for one or the other, I can't commit to both. I have prior arrangements on Thursday nights. So, which one is more important to be at, the 15th or the 22nd?
You have to decide. I can't decide that for you.
I can be there for the 22nd, the 15th I'm not available.
So, just so everybody knows, with the OCP, what's gonna happen is we have a staff planning session that we're doing during the day on the 15th, and there's a council planning session and vision session, and then they bring all of us together. But Councillor Woodell, if you are around on,
I can do the 15th during the day, I just can't do the evening because I'm already pre-committed to an event.
okay, but are you around on May 25th? From 6 to 8-ish? Or could you drop in? That's the community consultation part.
That's from 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's gonna be from
Where's that gonna be?
5, it's from 5 to 8 in the community center.
May 15th.
This coming?
May 25th, yes.
Have we advertised for this?
Yes, we will be.
Oh, wow, okay, I will, yep, okay.
So they don't need all council members there. She said it's not important that everybody, but it would be nice if 1 or 2 were there to show that, because really what they're looking for is the community's information, what the community would want. And what they do is they take that and they take staff and they take council and they pull it all together, and then we have one meeting with all of us.
So the 25th, I can be here for an hour.
You don't have to be here, you'll be at the community center.
Yeah, because Thursdays are the absolute worst day of my schedule to try and do something.
I'm sorry, but I won't be around because my son's graduation is more important. Yes?
I'm just gonna make a suggestion that if they're doing a second community consultation, they're not.
The community gets one input, and then we have, there's going to be a survey, or there's gonna be ways to provide information through the internet. The actual public consultation that Urban Systems runs, they only run one, but there's gonna be all sorts of information that's going out to the public via computer, mail outs, you name it. We've got one going out in the utility bills coming up there.
We put like an important stamp or something on it, just hopefully get a bunch of people involved.
Well, we're asking for RSVPs, which is fine dinner. We're just gonna do finger food. We're gonna do like Subway and pizza and fruit and vegetables.
As many people as we can, whatever we can to encourage the community to show up.
Get out there and tell everybody. Okay.
Anybody else? Yes, Councilor Rebel?
It might be a kind of an, anyway, is it possible to get a billboard on the highway for this event?
How much
those cost? Billboard, like one of those, like we did it for voting days. Just one of those signboards with the letters on it, right on the highway, to advertise it a few weeks prior.
Councilor Rabble, may I suggest our community bulletin board?
Wouldn't have a bulletin board, but on the highways, people are going in and out.
Or just painted?
With one of those.
Yeah, well, the one on the school, I was trying to literally look at it, but, yes,
Council leave the posting of where it goes.
yeah.
We'll get it done. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, moving on. We're gonna move on to number 13, reports. So, Councilor Johnston.
Oh, I haven't done much, but I did attend the Synergy meeting last night via Zoom. Lots of talk about disposal wells, about trying to get the Ministry of Transport and that to invest money, start rebuilding roads in there. A lot of road issues, passing Road, the maintenance of the roads. DC Energy opened up a 22-kilometer pipeline from Harris to Groundberg. And there was talk about the cattle and getting back in the field and everybody being cattle. It was pretty interesting. That's all I have.
Okay, Councilor Rabble.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe May 17th, the library is that emergency preparedness session?
No, 12.
12?
Yeah.
So
13th.
13. Okay, there we go.
That's the one in the museum grand opening.
13th, yeah.
So,
It's, the museum grand opening is in the morning, and then from 1 to 3 is the thing at the library. So I think they were gonna kind of come down here and try to help some people from, get them to go over, so.
perfect, okay, just reminding me.
Okay,
Oh,
you can add to that?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask what council's thoughts were about seeing if we can get the library to record that presentation and then put it available on our, like on our YouTube page, so members of the community can look at that presentation at a later time. The lady doing it might not like that, but I think it'd be great for our community to have access to that on a regular basis.
We,
We'll just have access to it.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't ask staff to record it, because then they're coming in on a
No,
Saturday.
no,
but we
ask the
could ask-
library if they can record it.
Yeah, and then
on
we
Tuesday.
could put it up on our, yeah,
Well, we would put it on ours.
Or
The
the
library
libraries.
would put it on theirs.
yeah.
Yeah, make it available online though for people that
Yeah.
aren't available so they can get the information.
Sorry,
I
Councilor
can
Rabble?
send her an email. Finish your report.
okay, essentially, not too much, however, I essentially have, I now, as one of my community involvements, I now do have an employment agreement with the Dawson Creek and District Chamber of Commerce, just in the spirit of,
Transparency.
disclosure and transparency, yes. And of course, anything that would pertain to such matters within this body, I would obviously recuse myself of, but just to simply put that on public record. But other than that, no, not too much.
All right, Councilor Wall?
Councilor Rabble also attended the.
Oh, yeah, and you were at the
Oh, I was
barbecue.
at the barbecue thing.
You were,
Yes.
yes, volunteer
for,
PG.
volunteer recognition, yes. kind of blurs together. That summer heat is turning my brain to an omelet.
I spoke with the curator at the museum, and we filled out a road closure form for their grand opening on the 13th of May. I believe there was a mistake somewhere in the Village Voice. I read it as a different date.
Yes.
And that might be correct.
It's already been filled, yeah.
Okay. So it is on the 13th.
It is on the 13th, yes.
Looking forward to that. And as I've been out of town, and farmers market looks like it's not going to be happening this year because of the farmers market, so to speak. There's a whole. We will try for next year.
I did reach out to the Dawson Creek Mall. They've been doing like an artisan market, and I'm trying to find out who their contact is to see if there's a way that we can have that happen instead.
I just want something.
I know. I just want something too. And so I reached out to her this afternoon. I am hoping to hear back from her. If I hear anything, or them, I don't know if it's boy or girl. When I hear from them, I'll let you know.
Oh, let's keep in touch about that.
Yeah, definitely.
And anyways, because I've been out of town, that's it. Besides filling the reservoir.
Yes.
I did read that too.
Councillor Whittle?
Look at regional district meeting tomorrow. I attended the volunteer barbecue over the weekend. Mayor just kind of called me to remind me to show back up because I got sidetracked doing some yard work. And yeah, no, other than that, I was walking through the community the other day going for ice cream and I found a hole and just happened to be walking down the street and ran into the public works director. Yeah, and was told that that's getting fixed with some other stuff. Yeah, had a chat yesterday afternoon with some of the Pouce Fire Department guys coming back from another call. Really busy lately, and that's about all I've really been up to.
All right, I'm up. Well, I attended the Pouce Coupe Public Library Board meeting held on April 27th. I filled out one of my fancy portfolio forms. Thank goodness we made these for me. Great to see them. I'm the only one using them. Yeah, so we met on April 27th. The library would like to team up with me again this year and with the village to provide games and prizes for kids. So they're going to borrow my tents. We're going to create a booth again, working with some local gentlemen that are going to provide games. The library is going, as I said, they're going to need to borrow my tents. They are getting ready for Wine for Books, which will be happening this year, which I'm very excited about. You gentlemen have never been to Wine for Books, but they are legendary and so fun. Yeah.
Does that mean I can give them a book I've read and they give me wine?
I wish. Instead, you just get really drunk and dance, and then the money goes to books. Oh, yeah, I know. We're
I'm
joking.
happy with it.
I know, right? So, the library has asked for volunteers to help them on the Friday before Wine for Books with the setup. It does generally take about 4 to 5 hours, but we try to make it fun. They bring in pizza normally, and it's a lot of setting up tables and place settings and centerpieces and so that'll be on September 22nd from 3 till 9 p.m. So they always book 6 hours, but that's because they expect people to come later. Yes, Ms. Stokes.
Just like to point out that week is UBCM.
Oh,
I was going to point that.
we're not going to be here?
Well, depends how quickly you get home after Friday, but
Yeah.
you can get a flight.
We're going to be here for Saturday, though, right?
You can get a flight. Or if you're driving, I guess we
I
haven't
will.
gotten to travel yet.
But curate.
Contract about skating tickets, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well anyway, they did ask for volunteers help with the setup on September 22nd from 3 to 9. So if we can magically use flow powder and go through a fireplace and get here, that'd be perfect. Wine for Books will be taking place on Saturday, September 23rd, so the following day, and posters and tickets will be going out within the next month or so. They currently have it. We good? Okay, she's out of your face. They currently have it where if you buy tickets before September, they're $70. That includes your dinner and a drink, first drinks on them. And then there'll be a bar in there stuff too. But if you have to buy them after September, they go up by $5. So they try to encourage you to buy them early so they can get their food killed and stuff. I spoke with Courtney at the public library about the games, and she said that she's also plans on reaching out to them, see if she can borrow some games from them. Courtney asked for a travel of our travel expense, which you handed her, and they wanted me to let you guys know that the library has completed their SOFI, and it's on their website if you'd like to look at it. Everything was. So that was my library meeting. And then I met with the Area D director to go over plans for Canada Day event and parade, as well as catch up on the local information that's going on. I held and attended the Volunteer Appreciation Barbecue on April 29th at the Fire Hall. I'd just like to take a moment to thank the staff who all helped as well as came out to enjoy our day. It was beautiful weather. I got a wicked sunburn. Don't know about you guys, but it was bad. But I left the event with both of my eyebrows and eyelashes, so it was successful. We had a great good turnout. Actually, I was pretty surprised. I was very, very, very happy. I made some connections with Seniors Hall was there, the museum was there, the library showed up, the church showed up. So yeah, there's quite a few of the different board members there. It was really, really great. I attended the local leaders table meeting organized by former Mayor Bumstead up in Fort St. John. I was at yesterday. This was an amazing opportunity for our local mayors and chiefs to get together and share exciting challenges and stuff within our communities. Some of our big things that happened is most of our morning we spent doing introductions and sort of talking about our why that kind of talked us into putting our name into these hats and becoming chiefs and mayors and councilors. We discussed the racism that has been a result of the Caribou Recovery Project due to the mishandling by the province. The province sort of came in and did a tell-all about the program that Moberly Lake was putting out that did lead to death threats and everything for members of the Moberly Lake community. So actually, a lot of the information they were saying was misinformed or was not actually how the program was working. The caribou in the area were at an extreme decline, and if action was not taken, they would have become completely extinct. So the Treaty 8 Nation stepped up to provide a safe space to rebuild the caribou population for now and for future. And we talked a lot about honoring the treaties in our communities and how we as elected officials have a duty to meet and collaborate with our Indigenous leaders. Some of the big things that I took away from that was that they were talking about having each municipality take part in the restoration of the caribou by adopting a herd and doing their part to provide sort of like no care, sort of help funding this big program that Moberly Lake has taken on by itself. We talked about our responsibilities as leaders to take anti-racism training and cultural sensitivity training, and that this is actually going to be something that's going to be coming out this summer for our local leaders to be taking. So people look out for that. They're teaming up with the PRRD to actually provide training. PRRD has also created these beautiful cultural safety mission statements. I love these cards so much. There's like a beautiful story that's sort of told along this riverbed, so I grabbed everybody one. You guys can see them all. There you go. And I grabbed a few extra. I just absolutely love them. I thought that they were beautifully done, and it talks a little bit about cultural safety on the back there. So that's the gist of what I've done. I've got two other things I've got to add on, but can I get somebody to put a motion on the floor to go past 9 p.m.? Okay, can I get a seconder? Councillor Ravel, all those in favor? Carrie, thank you. It's just about. One of the things I wanted to bring up was our policy 8.7 on wage loss reimbursement. So I would like to have this policy brought back and looked into a little bit. I was reading into it, and my reason for the review is due to the fact that just this week alone, I'm going to be attending full a full 2 days off of my work without pay, and because one of these meetings is actually held in town, I don't get reimbursed nothing, and so I'm potentially not being paid at all, and there are actually quite a few meetings that I do go to and don't get any pay, and so I just feel that in the economy and the time that we're at now, it dissuades councilors and mayors from taking time off work to go to important area meetings when you're taking pay from your personal job and you're not being paid any form of, what is it that we get? Remuneration, yeah. So, you know, even if it was just like a percentage or our normal out of town $128, it's better than nothing. But right now it's nothing. Yes, it's still.
So with that in mind, you need to remember that you have not budgeted for this year. So
Very
it
true.
should be put into the budget.
So maybe it's something we should look at bringing it back for next year.
Near the end of the year, so we can budget for it, but for this year, I'll tell you now, you don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, and that's.
You're
Just
covered
something
for
to look
UCM,
at.
but that's- It's budgeted.
No, I just know that, yeah, meetings have been difficult for counselors and difficult for me taking time off work. It's difficult when you're not being paid for your regular job, and, the money that we receive as mayors and counselors isn't enough. So, yeah, so maybe we can make a note to bring this back later in the year. Okay, Councillor Wall?
When I was working at Northern Health, I did find it difficult that it was something that I knew I was getting into coming into the role. I knew it would take time. It's not. I have no idea how many hours I tried to work for this farmer's market. That's not going to happen. So,
Yes.
but sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
It's knowing what you're doing.
Ms. Stokes?
So council needs to remember that being a councillor is not a paid position. When you run for an election, you are running to sit on these meetings, you are running to sit on your portfolios, and the remuneration that you get throughout the year takes into consideration all of that. You have a travel allowance if you're going outside of the area, but councillors do not get paid to go to meetings. That's the bottom line.
Councillor Rebel?
Just out of curiosity, is this because these meetings are occurring during the day, during a regular
Yes.
day, or in the evening?
No, evening meetings I'm totally fine with. It's the ones where I can't work, where I'm taking, and then especially when it's like 2 to 3 meetings per week, or what will often happen is that, you know, there will be like 2 or 3 meetings within a week, and I've got to pick one that I think is the most important or go to, because they all happen between the hours of 9 and 3. So just something to review. If council doesn't feel that it needs to be, then that's not a big deal either. I just thought I would bring it up. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls Day is happening on May 5th, which is this Friday. There is a march taking place at 6 p.m. at the NAR Park, and they're marching from the NAR Park to City Hall, and then they are having, I think there's like a meal and a closing prayer. I would just also like to put in a request that on May 5th, that Pouce Coupe put their flags at half-mast for all those who have suffered and continue to suffer from these horrible statistics. We as a community are also feeling this closer to home with the disappearance of Carolyn Supernant. This is a stark reminder that this is not someone else's issue or someone else's problem. This is everyone in every community's issue, and we as a community and a governing body must do our part to bring awareness to the sickening differences and disappearances between Indigenous women, girls, and the rest of the general population in Canada. So I just ask that council do their part by attending the march, if you can make it, on Friday night, wearing a red pin for this week, if you happen to have one, or you can go purchase one. There's different places in town that are selling them, and just continuing to share information and support for Darylyn's friends and family. So, with that being said, I would like to put the motion on the floor that we lower the community flags to half-mast on March 5th for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. May 5th, thank you. I did put March in there, I'm going back in time. Can I get a second on that? Councillor Whittle, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rabble?
Do we have a policy around lowering the flag, or is it just?
We can lower it. We can't touch the Canadian flag or the BC flag.
And is there a policy in place for the Coos flag, or it's just council decision?
It's council. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. It was very hard to say. Oh, macaroni. I get emotional, and then the stutter gets even worse. Not very fun. All right. Yes, Councillor Rebel.
If I may, from the CAO report in regards to the ability to grant people permission to serve alcohol, the recommendation there appears to be to direct staff to create a policy around alcohol permitting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great place to start for sure.
Okay.
To direct staff to create a policy around the granting of alcohol permitting for consumption for various events.
So you're putting that motion on the floor?
Yes, because I should have done it when the CAO report happened, but we were talking about it.
Okay. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. Carried.
I think it's important, right? It's
Yeah.
Just remember you're bringing this.
with liability insurance.
Look into it.
Well, your alcohol permits, most municipalities have them.
It's not a dry municipality, right? It's-
Not that I know. But we do have
No,
more
it's not a
churches
dry
than bars.
municipality, but it's an older municipality.
We do have more churches than bars, I'm just saying. Okay, so question period, nobody's here. So, item number 15, in camera. So, moving to in camera as per section 91EG of the community charter. Recommend that council move to the in camera as per section 91CE, C, labor relations or other relations, and E, the acquisition, disposition, and expropriation. Okay, I don't even know, of land. Thank you, expropriation of land for improvements that the council considers the disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality. Seconded by Councillor Boyle. Thank you.